Hello, friends. Welcome to the Dirty Politics Show with your host, the Right Honorable Gentleman, name of Aladdin Pirate. A lot is happening in this crazy world, and they're going to help y'all make heads from tales of it all. Now on to the show. We hope you do enjoy.
Woo! Showtime.
Yes, sir.
We are here. Episode 1 of Aladdin and Pirates Dirty Politics. Everyone, welcome. Thank you for joining.
If you're easily offended, you can leave right now.
Easily offended, please leave. We are going to get into the heaviest news possible, but hopefully keep it as light as possible. You know, and everybody be friendly and respectful as they can be. Jalen, how you doing today?
Doing good, life's great. I haven't been, kidnapped by ICE and deported illegally away from a country, so life's good for me. Can't say that to some of these individuals in America, but
time will tell. The day is long. We got plenty of time here.
I
put in the call a couple days ago, so I don't see why it's taking so long.
Hey, you know me, I got that magic carpet ready to go. We can fly anywhere and get away.
Just let all the viewers know who maybe haven't seen the other show we were on, Big Ox and Pirates America. Jalen's part of that too, but now we got this new edition. We do have a couple. Yeah, I'd say we're pretty contrasting viewpoints, right? Jalen, how would you describe your general political disposition?
I'd say I'm definitely a progressive, left-leaning individual, but not one of those like green hair, blue-haired weirdos that just scream at the TV when he disagrees. I actually think, I think with any candidate, like even with Trump, I always say I would have voted for Bernie. Even with Trump, I probably disagree with him like 60-40, 70-30. So there's still things I think he does well, and there's things he doesn't. I just don't think he's, a racist, a this and that. Do I think he's a little power hungry with some of the stuff he's doing? Yes. Do I think he doesn't care for the law if he thinks what he's doing is right for the country? Yes, and I think that could be problematic. But yeah, I like to say I'm a reasonable, progressive left winger.
Right. So we all know that's code for basically communist. I, on the other hand, I am your fairly typical, red-blooded, church going. No, I mean, literally, I'm probably about a 60% libertarian, 35% Republican, ever diminishing bit of Democrat sympathy as the
we know what that's code for. Neo-Nazi crazy. Neo-Nazi crazy.
Yeah. Just throw an ist behind it, and
there it is.
And you got me. But yeah, so we try to represent a lot of the, I guess, more sane, rational sides of the aisle. Mm-hmm. But we're coming at it from different angles, as you can tell by the start of the show. I personally thought that the start of a trade war and maybe upending the world economic system for the next 100 years would probably be the most important subject of the day. But Jalen over here decided to go with the deportation of a single man from Maryland.
The illegal deportation of a single man from Maryland.
Well, the yet to be determined exactly how legal.
When the administration says they were wrong, when the administration says they wrongfully deported the guy, and it was their mistake, I think it's fair to say it was illegal. A mistake was made.
I think it is fair to say a mistake was made.
Yeah, exactly. Mistake was made.
That's in the Supreme Court rulings. Have you had a chance to go through the last couple Supreme Court rulings?
No, I didn't
get to this.
No, I didn't get to kind of go into it in detail. And like I said, there's so many rulings before that with the lower level judges, and they got to Supreme Court. I just kind of looked at the general basis of it. Like you said, he should be facilitated back in his return. I think the problem with this is, look, I'm okay with mistakes. Mistakes happen, even though I think the mistake was, because of the heavy because of the whole deportation kind of mass movement thing, and he's very aggressive with it. Mistakes are going to happen, sure, but then to kind of double down on it, well, because the administration said it was wrong, but to double down on the way, hey, he's a criminal, he's MS-30, he doesn't need to come back, or there's nothing I can do. When in reality, we all know if Trump wanted him back, he can get him back. Let's not pretend like he can't.
Absolutely. Yeah, I absolutely. I mean? Yeah,
without a doubt.
If Trump wanted him back, he obviously
exactly
get him back tonight.
So he knows what he's doing, and then right, and then I guess, and again the whole now it's a big debate on is he a part of MS-13? Is he not a part of MS-13? You could say that there's sides to both. Both sides have quote unquote proof, but guess what? He was never convicted, and there's no concrete evidence that he was. Like he's never been thrown in jail because you were part of MS-13. You're a gang member. That's never occurred. That's never happened. The judge didn't rule on that. The jury didn't rule on that. So we can make all these judgments, but at the end of the day, if a judge or jury did not convict him of being a part of MS-13 and things of that nature, you can't just say he's part of MS-13. He deserves to go. That's just an opinion.
You can't say it. I mean, like you said,
you can say it, but I just think you're incredibly wrong. That you're just going.
Well, at the same time, I think you're also. I think that's not really the important factor, whether he's part of MS-13 or not.
What do you think the important factor is?
The important factor is that he is here illegally.
Again, he's allowed. So you can't just say he's here illegally. You have to check the status.
No, Jalen, check the status. And this, we were talking about it on Telegram before the show, and I said that the ruling was that one of these fucking purple-haired hippie judges up in Maryland
said not have purple hair.
No, I saw it.
No way.
As big old a pin through her nose, purple hair. It's like straight out of TikTok, but. Ruled that he couldn't be sent back to El Salvador. This is back in 2019. He couldn't be sent back to El Salvador because of safety concerns.
So like asylum seeker, right? Like when you can't go back to your country for safety.
Yeah, but he was not granted asylum. So it was ruled, and I even double checked. I double checked some left leaning sources on MSNBC and CNN. They said, yeah, it was ruled that he couldn't be deported to El Salvador, but that he could be deported to any other country.
Oh, because any other country you could go to, but not be El Salvador. Okay.
Yeah.
But he went back to El Salvador. Gotcha.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and that's where it is. I mean, the administration already admitted that was a fuck up, paper filing, a fuck up. So on that part, I'll grant that. Yeah, it was an administrative error, and due to that, personally, I mean, my belief, what should happen. Is that he should be returned to America. I think is the right thing. I think where we really disagree is just the sentiment as to how much this matters. I think ideally he should be returned to America, but basically I'm not losing any sleep over it.
I hear you. I mean, look, there's bigger issues within the country. You can say
much bigger issues directly related to this case. I mean, let's be real. This situation would not exist if previous to now, tens of millions of times over, the rule of law was ignored, desecrated, and broken. Tens of millions of times over and over and over again.
I mean, wait, you're talking about immigration now. I don't think the law was ever broken.
What do you mean the law is when you illegally enter the country, the law is broken?
Okay, no, okay, sure. When you
say the law is broken,
hold on.
And then when a court orders your deportation, and you
say, yeah, that's wrong. So, but when you enter
law is broken.
When you enter a country seeking asylum, whether it's legal or illegal, if you're escaping persecution,
but Jalen, like 93%, but like 93% of those people have had their asylum cases dismissed.
For sure, 100%. And if that happens, then if you're ordered to leave, you're supposed to leave 100%. But the whole idea that people coming,
now. But that's where we're.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. But I'm saying, so the people who where the judicial system did their job, looked at their case, they were said no, it doesn't work. You got to go back. Those people 100% all deserve to get deported. I completely agree without a doubt.
Well, and that's what we're talking. We're not only talking about that. We're also talking about all the people who have skirted that whole process completely.
I mean, sure. There's people who once they say they have to get deported,
which now amounts to the tens of millions. So that's what I'm saying. This whole situation would not exist if it hadn't been allowed to exist, specifically by completely ignoring the rule of law. So I just find it ironic that now that someone gets voted, now the situation gets so bad that a guy gets voted in where that's the primary case that he's making to even get the presidency.
No, but no one had a problem with him deporting people who were supposed to be deported. He's been deporting people for a couple months now. It's been perfectly fine. It's okay. You're supposed to be deported. It's gone. With this one, again, it's a couple things. One, he was wrongfully detained and deported. And two, it's also, again, with the new thing coming out with the American senator or governor or senator who went to El Salvador to speak to try to speak to them. Him saying that the vice president told him that the American government have been paying them to keep him there. Now you're telling me this administration is paying a foreign government money.
We already knew that. What are you talking about? You're acting like that's news.
You're telling me that's not. But I don't know that they were paying.
I've known that from the very beginning.
You don't think that's problematic?
Do I think it's problematic?
I think putting money in a foreign government's hands to keep an individual who's
not really
technically a Salvadoran citizen, but is supposed to be back in America. To me, this goes back to whether you want to put it on the administration, Trump, whoever you want to put it on, them deciding that, hey, we're not going to follow certain rules of law of the land, and we're going to do our own thing. And to me, again, as someone as conservative who are constitutionalist and who really believe that no one man is bigger than the country, this one man is trying to be bigger than the country.
Well, the fact is, sure. Sure. Yeah, in a fairy tale, but this is real life, and I said before, we call this show "Dirty Politics" for a reason. This is all politics, all governments that have ever existed. Every law that's written on paper is only as good as far as it can be.
A lot of gray areas where you can kind of
There's a lot of gray areas. Every president, some more than others, have pushed the boundaries, and by pushing the boundaries, it's a complicated game, a chess game of power. Either getting power in the immediate instance, like directly what happens with this one guy sent to El Salvador, or getting power in the process going forward. I mean, Trump has 4 years. He's a lame duck president. He's already served term, right? So he's got 4 years to enact his agenda, and he's got the foot on the gas.
Yeah, I always say being a lame duck president, where after that there's nothing. You could kind of circumvent the rules and get away with it in a sense. I do think, because I mean, by
circumventing the rules, he's putting pressure on setting precedent. Like just with this case, you had the court order from this Maryland judge, right? Who probably never thought it would become some national issue. It was just some ruling on some guy. But now due to what's happened, it's been taken up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ruled yes and no. Right? Agreed with the premise that you could say more due process is owed this guy than what he was given. But then also the second part, which you're kind of ignoring, is that it challenged the lower court's ability to intervene in these specific foreign affairs by changing the ruling. The lower court said that ordered the administration to facilitate and effectuate the return of Homie. The Supreme Court said no. The administration has to facilitate, but is not obligated to effectuate the return. And that small difference in semantics in one small lowercase court, that sets a huge precedent for going forward over the next 4 years and 100 years, and it's still playing out. So everyone should know that this whole story is still playing out.
Yeah, it's ongoing. We'll see how.
Yeah. So because the lower court judge was ruled that she cannot order to effectuate the return. Now I think she's due on Friday to redo redefine or meaning of facilitate.
Which is again very like you said, very vague. Like
Very vague, and it's vague enough to where the administration can really,
I just don't think why don't you think Trump
done.
just why don't you like I mean we talked about it before too. Why don't you think Trump just makes a call and get him back? Because he could if he wanted to, but he's trying to make a statement, which I just don't think it's an effective statement.
Again, yeah, I think that I think that would probably be the best move, but I'm not totally committed to it because again, we're talking about the long game. So I mean, I think the motivation in what you're seeing out of the administration is, again, they have 4 years. They promised to deport like 10 million people. And so now we can see that the Democratic Party is they're in the position where they're they want to muck up the gears as much as possible to make the process for deporting 10 million people or however many amount, make that process as difficult as possible. So I really think that that's the bigger battle and that's being waged right now on how streamlined is the process going to be versus how many hurdles do you have to jump over, because the Democrats know that. I mean, if they can install it to where effectually it would take like 50 years to process all the people in America for deportation,
I think Democrats are okay with what Trump with all kind of with the deportation, or most are. Some obviously aren't. But
I would say some are.
Yeah, some are.
But many
I don't
are.
want to put a number. Yeah, I would say, like for me, I get it. Look, you want to deport. America has a lot of problems, whether it's housing, jobs, or the case may be. You want to deport. Your illegal aliens or citizens that shouldn't be there, especially the criminals. I'm all for that without a doubt. I think this issue for Democrats using this one is more about a law and order thing, or that's the card politically Democrats want to play, is that this president is not following the law of the land. He's being a bit of an authoritarian, someone who doesn't care for what the rules are. He's just going to do what he feels like doing. And I think, again, politically, how many political points I'll get them in the midterms of the next elections, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, Democrats have won the last few special elections.
I mean, the last few they won.
I believe the Supreme Court won in, was it Wisconsin? I thought that was a big one for them.
Yeah, but I mean, that was like one. That was
that was one. No, for sure, that was one. I guess we'll see. We'll
and then there were a couple congressmen in Florida Republicans who didn't win by as much as
I mean,
they were supposed to win. So
Florida at this point is.
I think surprisingly, all the macro numbers that I see still are favoring the Republicans. So, like I just saw, the generic ballot is plus 2 points for Republicans, which usually if it's anything positive for Republicans,
yeah, that's just a good thing. It should be positive.
That should be a win. Yeah, usually Democrats, they need at least like a plus 3 just to be even.
We'll see. We'll see.
I saw another poll where you see a lot of I've been seeing a lot of stories about the disenchanted Trump voters, people regretting that they voted for Trump.
Hey, a lot of those people I see because of the tariffs. Hey, we can go right into the tariffs from this.
Yeah, again, I think it's a myth. I think it's a myth because I saw on CNN they ran a poll and it was like 1% of Trump voters said that they regretted their vote.
It's hard to pinpoint the numbers, but we can go to the tariffs. The people are feeling the tariffs. The people are feeling the tariffs from.
We'll definitely get into the tariffs, but we're not done with this.
What more do you want to this is the other problem we're having.
Well, let's just check a couple of quick clips here. We got Pam Bondi, old friend Pam Bondi. See what she had to say.
He is not coming back to our country. President Bukele said he was not sending him back. That's the end of the story. If he wanted to send him back, we would give him a plane ride back. There was no situation ever where he was going to stay in this country. None. But he's from El Salvador. He's in El Salvador, and that's where the president plans on keeping him.
That's the part of the administration that I really haven't liked through the first 100 days. And that I imagine is going to keep going. Like where she says, if he wanted to send him back, we would take him back. No, like that's the bullshit that's just like obvious bullshit, like I know it, you know it.
She got to say
anyone,
that. She got to say that.
anyone with half a brain knows it. But no, I don't think they have to say it, and that's one of the things that I wanted to touch on. I feel like, have you heard of the Mott and Bailey fallacy?
No.
Okay, it's basically, it pops up in politics a lot.
Mhm.
And here, let me just look at this here. So this is it's called the Mott and Bailey fallacy because it's named after a Mott and Bailey castle.
Interesting.
So, like, yeah, let me just get an image here. So, oh, that's funny. How come it's not showing up on the image? Anyway, it's basically a castle. You know, the old time medieval castles where you got a tower in the middle of the courtyard, and that's the Mott. That's really easy to defend, right?
Okay, yeah.
Because it's a tower.
Mhm.
But and then you got like the plains on the outside of the tower, and that's the Bailey, which is much more difficult to defend, right?
Yep.
So a lot of time in political arguments, you'll advance an argument that's the Mott, but what you're really trying to push is the Bailey, right? So like with the immigration, look at like Trump's argument. A lot of it you can focus on, we're going to get rid of all the criminals and rapists, right?
Mhm.
So that's like the Mott argument, because that's really easy to defend, and a
Yeah,
lot of
that's-
people just agree with you right off the bat, right?
Yep.
But then critics will say, but behind that is the Bailey. What the argument he's really trying to push is to deport all of the illegal immigrants. But you don't lead with that argument because that's much more difficult to defend, right?
I mean, that's politics for sure.
Yeah, it's politics, but I think sometimes it's self-induced where you don't have to do it. And I feel like the Trump administration does it in situations where they don't have to, and then they get hung by their own petard. Like I think with the whole immigration thing, you could just go with, we're deporting all the illegal immigrants. You have to make a more sophisticated case. I mean, you have to touch on how it affects everyone economically, you know, the fabric of society. It's a more difficult case than just saying, hey, we need to deport all the murderers and criminals, you know. But I feel like with the immigration, they've gotten caught up so much in the defending the Mott, defending we're going to get all the criminals. So then after a few months, now it's like you're connected to that argument. You don't get to go back to your broader argument that I think you wouldn't have as broad support, but you would still have a majority of support. You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. I do think there's been a lot of self-inflicted wounds when it comes to immigration thing. I mean, we saw about the story of the student in Colombia who was wearing a hijab. Just a student there, is a student there, has a student visa, clearly around, gets stopped by ICE agents and gets asked, come with us. I mean, and you just randomly stopping someone because they may look like an immigrant. That's the picture not paint.
You're talking about the female one, right?
Yeah, the female one where, she quote unquote. So does anybody who look like an immigrant, you just have the right to stop? I mean, I think American laws. Yeah, I mean, that's not.
She was stopped because of stuff that she was saying about the whole,
I mean, look, Palestine-Israel thing. I mean, look, that's another thing too.
We'll touch on that. We got Palestine, Israel stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that too. I mean,
you want to jump right into Palestine, Israel?
I mean, look, I kind of relate to the Harvard situation too. Even though, I don't know if that's.
We could definitely talk Harvard. I mean, what's your position on the Harvard?
I think Harvard. I mean, look, I think did I send it to you the clip? I thought this one individual had a very
on Harvard
articulate. Yeah, let me get it here quick and post it for you too. I mean, he said in a very articulate, brilliant way, like from a Trump voter, as stated himself.
A Trump voter on Harvard.
I mean, it's funny, I did see a lot of tweets or messages under the whole post be like, Harvard might be the wrong one to mess with. Harvard has very powerful individual, right?
I love this. There's like one or two election cycles where Democrats get the slim lead in college educated voters, and now all of a sudden they think they're the fucking smartest shit. Hey, man, a lot of us conservatives have read a lot of books along the way. All right.
Yeah, shoot. I thought a lot of I mean, college educated voters tend to lean liberal for the most part for decades now.
No,
Am I
man.
wrong about that?
Oh, yeah.
Let me just hear thing. Okay,
yeah,
I'm sending this
the
one.
college vote used to be the Republicans all the way.
Here, I just
because the Democrats had way more of the working class than they have now. Now they got like no working class.
Put in the first one that I put that someone wrote.
Wait, where'd you send it? Telegram?
Telegram, yeah. Dirty politics. Bring up the first one I sent.
All right. If it's not a link, I'm not sure how to bring it up.
Let me try to get the link. Yeah, I just got the image for you there. Let me bring up.
Yeah. Send it with the link. But I have something else here that kind of. I mean, it's a good question. Look, if we're talking like in this situation, now we're talking about people with green cards, people on visas, basically, as I see it, guests into the country, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So look, man, you're not an American citizen, all right?
Mm-hmm.
All the laws of the land do not apply to you. Mm-hmm. In fact, even if you are getting a green card, you can't, you can't, when you're applying for your green card, you can't walk into the office and say, I hope for the downfall and complete destruction of Western civilization. Like if you say that shit in the green card office, you're denied.
That's not the smartest thing to say, but the whole protest thing, where especially Trump's taking the side of, if you protest for or supporting Palestine, you're somehow for Hamas and a downfall of Israel. While if you're supporting for Israel, somehow you're not for, you know what I mean? Like the consistency.
No. And here's where I kind of agree with you again. And I feel like it's the Mott and the Bailey thing again, So now we're talking about Harvard, and they're going to defund Harvard because of the Israeli shit. And my position is, fuck that. Just defund Harvard on the principle of, why the fuck is Harvard getting billions of dollars of taxpayer money? This is a university with a $50 billion endowment who espouses ideology that a majority of the nation does not agree with a lot of the ideology of the school. And they're sitting on $50 billion endowment. Why are they getting taxpayer money? I'm saying just go with that. I don't need any of the others.
If that was a position, if you just want to take away funds for private universities, just take that all away from all private universities, regardless of their, if you want to call it political leanings, whatever, you just don't believe in private universities getting funding from the government, especially when they have huge endowment funds. I'm cool with that. You keep it consistent all the way through, pull the funding, make them figure it out. I'm okay with that. But then to just go after Harvard because they're not following your set of rules.
It's not just Harvard. He's going out after a lot of people. Harvard,
yeah, I mean, a lot of
name.
I mean,
no, but look, at the same time, I do agree with. Look, man. I mean, you can say, the Israel and Palestine is a contentious issue, and a lot of people are kind of dug in on one or the other side. But we all have to agree. Look, man, if there were like white supremacists, like neo-Nazis in the courtyard, and they were antagonizing black people or minorities, that shit would be over within 6 hours.
But it goes both ways with the Israel-Palestine stuff. You can't have one set of rules for one side or the other. It does. See, no, 100%.
No. The protest
attack, and I've seen
the intensity and size of the protests on the universities are so far weighted in the Palestinian side. It's not even close. You have to agree. Are you really trying to say?
Hold on. Wait. Why do you say that in terms of? Wait. In terms of what they agree with, maybe one side has more.
Okay, so you think all the stuff that was going on with Columbia and Harvard and fucking everywhere, man, all pretty much all universities all over the country, you seriously think that the intensity and size of the protests were evenly distributed?
No, I think
dude, these college kids are like 90% on the Palestinian side. It's the Palestinian side that's taking over administrative buildings and locking themselves in.
The Palestinian side had more support in the protest supporting them Palestine, but also because they've had more people killed. They've had more kids who have been killed.
Well, see,
They have more people who have
no,
been
no, no,
died.
no, no,
So what are
no,
we
no.
doing?
See, right now you're just putting forth the Palestinian.
No, it's not. No,
side to
we're
say
talking
that
about
it's
sheer
more valid.
numbers. We're talking about
Forget
sheer
that.
numbers.
Forget about
We're talking about sheer
defending one
numbers.
side or the other. Just as far as the sheer numbers and impact, it's obvious amongst the young people and the college students.
Mhm.
It's the Palestinian side all the way that's behind like virtually all of these protests and mass demonstrations, and especially the stuff that legitimately breaks the law, like fucking taking over administrative buildings, fucking, breaking the windows, going in, locking themselves in there for a month. That's all Palestinians. That's all Palestinian stuff. And as a byproduct of that, as far the ethnic animus on those campuses, it's the group of the Palestinian supporters antagonizing solo fucking Jewish people walking here and
I've
there.
seen groups of Jewish people antagonized, but maybe not unnecessarily.
Maybe there's always going to be some counter protest, but I'm saying
for sure. But yeah, not just on school campuses though. We're talking videos all around. I do notice that with the youth, especially like you said, university student campuses, I think Palestine has a lot more support. But with the 60-year-olds, it seems like Israel and the Jewish contention have a lot more support.
Weird. It seems like most of my life the chart for political alignment was fairly linear. As far as the younger you were, the more liberal you were, and then the older you got, the more conservative you got. But if you look at like the last election and the makeup of the country now, it's really weird. It's like dips and bumps. Like the 18, the really young people are more conservative than normal, but then the on like the 20, 30 something, they're pretty much where they were. But then the 35s are. I know it's a weird like wave. No, like now it looks like a huge base of the Democratic Party is actually the old people, the old farts.
You know what's funny? Even in Canada too,
all these Tesla protests and stuff. It's like
Tesla
old blue-laid.
That's
weird women.
Can you just share the chat, like our Telegram chat? Bring up I should bring up his tweet and read it out. You should be able to share.
Oh, yeah. Wait, no, you got the link here, so I can share it.
No, yeah, that's the Harvard one. I'm talking about the tweet for the other guy. I think I can share.
Oh, the no government, regardless of which party.
The automations is our tweet, the image that I put on. Let's see if I can even change it. Okay.
But I think it does go back to the bigger picture. Like the bigger picture to me is how much liberty are you expected to extend to people who are essentially guests in your country? It seems crazy to me. Like I wouldn't expect like I'm gonna fly over to France and then become a radical fucking anti-French revolutionary and be like fuck France, the French government has to fall, and expect not to be
so I could agree with that if you're bashing America. If you're coming into this country and just bashing the country, saying this and that, sure, I can see how that's problematic. But in this Israel-Palestine situation, if you have a student from a foreign country who supports Palestine, a student from a foreign country who supports Israel, and only one is getting attacked for voicing that opinion, that's where the problem lies. If you want to just shut down both, which again I think goes against the whole free speech thing, and I've always said people don't really believe in free speech in America. People like the idea of free speech, but very few people are absolute free speech. Like I'm absolutely.
It's very hard to be an absolute free speech.
I
think absolute free speech is no, it's impossible. I mean, where are we going?
Well, as long as you're not saying speech that
See, as soon as you put like any as long as it's not absolute. So I think I'm one of the most stringent free speech advocates, but even I'm like,
look, you can't go. Let's say you can't go to a movie theater and scream fire and cause a ruckus, right? That's problematic. You can't just do that and cause a ruckus, right? You can't do that. I don't think you can go somewhere and say, this person should be killed, right? That's ridiculous.
Exactly.
You can't say that, but anything that's
I'm so into free speech. I almost feel like maybe you should be.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say like. I feel like some people I think you can get away with saying that if you know it's in like a I don't know. You know, in politics, people just be saying some crazy stuff. I hope this politician gets the. Do I think they actually mean?
But a lot of people apply this free speech shit to shit that. I mean, look, like a lot of it's like you wanted to defend people in a public. I mean, like honestly, look, if you have a public school, obviously, like a public school teacher can't go teach school like dressed as a Nazi and just espouse fucking Hitler propaganda for 8 hours a day, right? I mean, that's not free speech, And like on your job, obviously, I feel like your employer has a right to,
of course,
censor what you say. You can't be a bank teller and just be fucking.
But what's the line? What's the line?
Well, it's different for every situation. I think most people, free speech is as far as the punishment between you and the government. That's how I look at free speech. It's not what your employer can do to you.
That's true. I think I agree with that.
Yeah.
You going to jail or being scolded by employer, two different things. I think they're two different worlds. Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Yeah. So I don't think this is a free speech issue. When first off, you're not a citizen. So in all of these instances we're talking about, these are not U.S. citizens. This is not the law as it applies to you or to me. I mean, you have to live up in Canada where they'll send you to jail for calling your son a boy if he doesn't want.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. But at least here in good old America, this doesn't apply to us. This applies to, and it behind all of it is, hey man, this whole immigration system has been broken for decades. And it's been broken under the guise of, we're not really open borders people, but anybody can cross the border, and once they're here, we can't send them away. But it's not open borders. It's not open borders. It's like, yes, it fucking is. You talk about like politics and just throwing lines out. Like that's what I've heard for the last 20, 30 years from the Democratic Party is like tacitly pushing this open borders policy and saying it's not open borders. But for some reason,
I think when it comes to student visa, like the open border situation with Mexico is very different than student visas and people coming from all over the world to America. I think there's two different issues, right?
It is, but I mean, they're
student visas
the same umbrella.
Yeah, I see, but student visas are completely legal. There's nothing illegal about it. You want to study in America, you want the best and brightest minds to come to America, study at the top institutions of the world. A lot of these are considered the top institutions of the world, right? So they want people to come from all over the world. It's just a consistency. Like,
why do they like the international students?
Oh, they have to pay more, right? They pay like triple, double, whatever. 100%. Even here,
I mean, all of these issues, it's like 3-4 levels deep. I mean,
for sure, yeah. It's not just one. Yeah. My issue is with the free speech thing. There's two different rules for two different groups of people. That's the problem, right? So to me, again, so if you just want these students not to have any sort of opinion on it, that's fine. But if you're okay with one side and not the other, especially in such a divided issue like Israel and Palestine, I don't think you should be punishing one side and not the other if they're both doing the same thing.
Well, Jalen, the difference is that, like, you have to admit a huge component of the Palestinian side of the argument is that the USA is guilty too, right? It's like most people on the Palestinian side are angry at Israel and America.
Sure, because America funds Israel.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we have deals with Israel.
I mean, you fund their military. You fund their.
You don't really fund it. They buy weapons from us. A lot of people buy weapons.
Well, sure. I mean, sure. But I'm just saying, a lot of people will complain. Hey, we're sending $1 billion to this country, $1 billion to this country, and look, Tucker Carlson. A lot of these. What's Tucker Carlson considered? Is he more a libertarian, conservative?
I don't know what Tucker is these days.
Okay.
He's kind of
He's calling it out. He's calling him out. He's like,
kind of libertarian.
Why are we sending all this money to Israel? He's calling him out.
Tucker's a businessman. Tucker wants as many. He wants clicks. He wants to make money. And good for him. He's doing it good. You've got
we got Robert Miskovic here.
Any thoughts, Jalen?
We definitely had a lot of immigrants.
Jalen was born in Canada. Everybody too. Just
Yeah, so if I want to say that.
Jalen was born on the frozen tundra.
It's funny. I'll sometimes I'll comment under these things where it's just like blatant racism, right? I'll comment, "Oh, you guys just hating," and then literally the response to my thing, they'll go on my page, look at my stuff, they'll be like, they'll comment my music, be like, "Oh, get out of here, you wannabe brown Justin Bieber, you want this and that, whatever." But the other one is, "Oh, this guy thinks he's so cool hanging out with these white girls." I'm like, "What?" They see the videos of like the clubbing scene, like, "Oh, you weirdos." Yeah. They're like, "Oh, you just like to take our woman." I'm like, "What? This is the craziest. These dudes are crazy."
Is hanging out with white girls cool now?
I don't get it. I'm like, what?
I've never found it to be too cool.
Right? I mean, hey. Hey, we got love for all flavors over here, man.
Bunch of nonsense all night. You hanging out with the white girls all night.
But he is right though with coming on a student visa. There's definitely a lot of students that came in, messed up the housing situation, job situation. So
that's a pretty big issue on your coming up for your election, right? Still, immigration.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's definitely problematic, and we definitely have to fix that too. But because of that, there has been just like people are just more openly, blatantly racist and like being racist assholes. You know what I mean? Like there's a way to just say, "Hey, I agree."
They're just telling happen. They're probably.
I mean, you know the difference between a joke and like real hatred behind it. You could tell. To me.
Well, I want to get back to a place where we can tell. I think a lot of it is just a reaction coming off the last 10 or 15 years where you couldn't say anything without legitimately being, called a fucking Nazi racist.
Yeah, that's true.
People are going to get sick of that shit after a while, and they're going to push back in the other direction. Be like, all right, if I'm going to be called a fucking Nazi, no matter what I say,
he's like, you might as well just like, okay, sure.
I might as well just fucking go 100%.
Yeah. Which I always thought it was crazy, the whole like Nazi thing, because the more I actually went on a rabbit hole, just like World War II, and it's like they were a different animal. Like people just be comparing
Nazis
things. Yeah.
Oh
like,
yeah.
If you really look at what they were doing, they were a different type of animal. So to blatantly throw out, the Nazi thing is a little ridiculous.
Well, have you ever heard of the Godwin's Law?
No, it's Godwin's Law.
All right, so when I grew up in like the dawn of the internet, right, when people first started talking to each other on AOL, and back in the 90s, they came up with this concept of Godwin's Law, where if you're in some internet debate with someone, the first person who brings up Hitler or the Nazis, you automatically lose the debate or conversation, because you've taken it to the extreme bullshit where it's like, all right, now
what are we doing? Yeah.
So all of a sudden we went from that to where if you bring up Nazis, you're a fucking moron, to now it's just like Nazi. It's really, but yeah, man, a lot of the left like really believes that. I mainly watch like left news sources and read the comments. Man, it's just crazy, man. Virtually all the comments are
like I see what they're doing, because they want to equate the demonizing of immigrants or people of color to what Nazis. I always say, just stop. You can just say what the demonize. Like you saw, it is everything. But you could say like the way, to me, how the Trump administration has paraded this mother around because their child was, killed, raped by a legal alien. I think bullshit too, right? The left does this for school shootings, and I always hate it when they do that. It's like, the right wants to demonize. They're going to use this one instinct of a pretty blonde, pretty brunette girl getting raped and killed by a legal alien. And try to paint this picture of all illegal aliens are rapists, killers, terrible people. Keep them away from your kids. They're hurting us. That type of thing. And then the left, they'll use a school shooting thing. Be like, these guns killing everybody. Blood is on your hands. I hate the whole concept of blood is on your hands. Got to stop. Like people just be saying blood is on your hands. Like, where does that go? I've never heard a productive conversation where you say blood is on your hands and you're screaming back and forth. There's never been a productive conversation where you tell the other person blood.
No, yeah, and I've always hated anecdotal fucking. That's why I hate stories about it. Even the one guy getting sent to El Salvador, or the one guy who gets in some police shooting or something, I'm just not into it, man. When you live in a country of 350 million people, do you know how many people die every day in the world?
Guessing thousands. Oh, in the world?
Yeah. How many people you think die in the world every day?
70,000.
170,000.
170,000 people die every day. How many people are born? Somewhere close to that, or
A little bit more, I suppose, right?
maybe like 200,000.
Because population's going up. Yeah, probably like
100%. Yeah, a lot of people, and a lot of people die in really nasty
like,
ways.
hey, man, 170,000 people die every single day, you know, and it seems so stupid to because then the problem is you get wrapped up in these like solo one-off stories.
Yep, and
then that's what drives the news. That's what drives the culture. And then that's what drives your government and stuff. Now all of a sudden you're making laws and running the government off of isolated stories.
You got the high school situation, right? Where the kid I think stabbed another kid. It was a black kid and a white kid, and that's becoming national news. And
I hate.
They're trying to make it the O.J. Simpson of today's era. Because again, I don't know what happened. The full story. No one was there. Whether it's self-defense, whether it's whatever. Like I don't know, so I'm not going to comment too much on it. But clearly, the story that's being projected now is a white-black thing.
Well, you know, as soon as I see something like that in the news, I know it's got some racial spin to it. Yeah, I mean, otherwise it just doesn't make the news, you know.
That's true. Yeah,
so like once I saw it, I knew it's gonna be it's either a white guy killing a black guy or a black guy killing a white guy. Or do you see? I saw that his family they got like $900,000 in GoFundMe.
I think
they're buying a mansion.
I don't know. Was it 900,000? Last time I saw it was like 200-300. Was it 900?
No, I saw like 850,000.
Okay, so they got a lot of money. You know, a lot of people. Again, it's a bit of the.
Why are they supporting him?
Well, they think that he's being fairly. He's being unfairly.
Why are they supporting? Like, why are they really supporting?
Oh, again, no, they're seeing. You know what's being brought up now. The whole Kyle Rittenhouse situation, but like, oh, it's okay for a white guy to shoot someone and kill them for protection, but if a black guy does it with a knife, you can't. It's
the total opposite, though. So when Kyle Rittenhouse got caught up, he was in self-defense, but he had like a $2 million bond.
Oh yeah, I mean,
and Kyle Rittenhouse was held in jail for like months.
Months, yeah. I mean,
whereas this guy kills a guy and he has his bond lowered to like 200,000. He's out of jail in like 5 days or something.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I mean, a stabbing versus shooting, different elements of the case for why the bond's lower, why they spend the time to say, sure. But in terms of why they're supporting him, there is a bit of the even when the OJ trial happened, there's people who even if OJ did it, they wanted to see him proved innocent because they've seen so many, especially back in those days, going back to the 60s, 50s, 70s, where white men could kill a black man, rape a black woman, whatever the case may be, and get away with it because the juries would be stacked with certain races, whatever. So they really want to see him innocent. Maybe a part of that is in this too. A lot of African Americans want to maybe they don't care if it's guilty, but they've seen enough African Americans unfairly thrown in jail, whatever the case may be. That they this kind.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's just like a retarded way to run your country.
For sure, yeah, it's just an incredibly stupid way, for sure.
What do you think of this chart here?
I want to say U.S. Border Patrol and Office of encounters by areas responsible for the component.
Encounters at the border. So people probably can't see. It's probably a little small. See this red line down here? This is 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Month by month. Yeah, so we got March 2025 down to 29,000. This is nationwide encounters, 29,000 compared to just a year ago, March 2024, 246,000. So about a 90% drop.
Well, I mean, good for them. I mean,
how come that's not leading the stories in all your fucking lefty?
I mean, is that
lefty news?
Is that leading the story in right-wing news too? I mean, I don't really know if that's headline worthy. Yeah, I don't really think.
You don't think that's headline worthy?
I mean,
what were the two biggest issues you think?
No. Immigration is a big issue, but I think the headline of this many people getting deported.
It's the lowest in like 80 years.
No, you're not listening.
Look at the difference.
Listen, 100%. But I'm saying what a sexier headline is 200,000 people have been deported versus the number of encounters on the border being, you know what I mean? Like
I feel like this is the more important.
No,
I look at it like this. No. If you've got a flood in your house, what do you got to do? You gotta stop the water and then you got to clean up the mess, right? But you can't clean up the mess until you stop the inflow of water.
True.
So
I hear you. It's not a sexy headline. I see why it's positive. Like I understand it, but it's not a sexy headline for the people, for the masses.
massively important. It's like the lowest in 80 years. I mean, look at it's just dropped off a cliff. I didn't expect these kind of numbers at all. I mean, I thought it was going to drop, but I think it's just a combination of what they're doing, and then also word is out.
Word is out. They're not. You can't just come into the country.
No point coming here.
Yeah,
and also, Jalen, I think that's part of an underlying thing with even the taking a stance on the guy getting sent to El Salvador. Because it's caught up in the corners. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. But what's the overall impression that the world gets with this kind of stuff?
I see what you're saying. The overall message is
it's like you better not get out, man. They're serious about this.
Yeah, even if the courts order me to bring you back, I don't care. I'm not doing it. Yeah. Sure, that's a positive message, and I still think what they did with the guy is illegal and there's law of the land. I can see the bigger picture. I can understand the bigger picture.
Might be a little illegal for now.
Very illegal for now. And
it's illegal until it isn't.
One man, look, I'm just saying the next time a Democratic president doesn't go with the Supreme Court ruling, don't be upset. If they make some royal ruling, Democrats just like, no, I'm not going to follow it. Cool, let's keep it moving. I wonder what does happen in that situation.
What situation?
So let's say, it's a hypothetical here. Let's say, Supreme Court rules that gay marriage is not allowed anymore. Let's say they do a full-on ban to it, right? Mm-hmm. And the Democrat president's like, you know what? Don't listen to him. Perform all the gay marriages you want. What happens?
You get caught in a lot of limbo. So we find ourselves right now. What is a sanctuary city?
Well, I thought sanctuary city is a state by state thing. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's in defiance of federal law. So what's that? What's the last 10 or 15 years where we've been in this gray area where different city and states have been changing the marijuana laws, but then the federal law is still what it is.
Well, doesn't that come down to state rights versus federal rights type of deal and how they get around it?
Yeah, but I think it comes down to, like I said, a law is only worth however much it can be enforced.
Well, true. Yeah.
A lot of laws, they can find themselves in these political areas where it's like there's a law, but a lot of people breaking that law too. So if a lot of people are breaking the law and nothing's happening, is it really how much of a law is it at that point? Speaking of, we did have did you see any of this?
I saw it. I don't get it. It's a bunch of rich people going into space and for 20 seconds and coming back.
You don't think it's a scientific milestone for the country?
I mean, from what I've briefly read on it, how far did they even get into actual space? Was it just past a layer? You know what I mean?
They get to where it's technically you could call it space.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
I guess we're in space, but I think I was pretty fascinated with let's just listen. This is Katy Perry on her return to Earth. I think she dropped a lot of gems for the world.
It is the highest high, and it is surrender to the unknown, trust, and this whole journey is not just about going to space. It's the training, it's the team, it's the whole thing. I couldn't recommend this experience more. This is up there with all the, different tools that I've learned in my life, from meditation to the Hoffman process. This is up there because what you're doing is you're really finding the love for yourself, because you got to trust in yourself on this journey. And then you're feeling the love when you come down, for sure. And you're feeling that strength. So I feel really connected to that strong divine feminine right now.
By the way, you're such a badass. I love that the month of April, you're like, I'm going to space and I'm launching my.
So
I
think it touches on the bigger issue that you still you think women should be allowed to vote after watching something.
That's crazy. Women should be allowed to vote. I did not condone what Pirate just said. I'm not questioning that. Full disclosure.
I mean, Exhibit A.
Look, I did have a problem with I think some people are trying to call this an all-female astronaut think to space. These people aren't astronauts. No, we're not
They
doing
call-
that.
They
They're
call
not
them the
astronauts.
crew.
Yeah, they're not astronauts. Their training might have been, again, I don't know how serious the training. It definitely wasn't very serious training by the people who went up there. Respectful, let's be real. It's not like you put in months or years of work studying, whatever the case may be. Maybe a couple hours. They had to learn some rules.
Right.
This is, so we're not going to overblow it. And I don't want to take away from actual astronauts who put in years of hard work. The amount of training you need to actually, be an astronaut, go into space, stay there for several months. It's at a whole different level. So this is cute. It was cute. It was cool, but let's not overblow it by any means.
Yeah, let's revoke that right to vote, because I mean
That's crazy.
just look at. I mean, I'll pull out Exhibit B and Exhibit C if we have to. I think it's clear. Well, so what do you think about the whole AOC Bernie?
I think AOC could beat JD Vance if he's candidate.
You're jumping all the way that far.
Yeah, I mean, I think she 100%. I think again, she's got to focus. If you focus on the issues at hand, again, like the universal health care, fighting for workers' rights.
Do you know how many bad clips AOC has floating around since she's been in Congress? It's ridiculous. I remember, according to AOC, the world should already be over from global warming. She said it was the world was dead in like 5 years, like 6 years.
Yeah, I mean, the climate change message, I think it could be a decent message. You just have to frame it in a way. I've always said to me, like, climate change should never usurp, the cost of eggs. Like, what I mean? People don't care about climate change if you're struggling to feed your baby that much. Right? I think people generally care. Like, you want to leave the world better for your kids, or you want to have a healthy planet, right? I think that's very common sense. Sure, you're just not going to put that over other issues you may have in your life. Look, I don't think JD Vance is. I don't even think he's very much a proven candidate by any means. I think Trump is such a big personality, big force in politics. I'm not really sure how these other Republicans will do once he's out of the picture. Like, is it just I'm the next Trump guy? Like, is that going to be everyone's line for the conservative? I'm the next Trump. I'm the next Trump.
I don't know. It's going to be tough because Trump is really like a 1 in a million thing.
Yeah,
I don't think.
I kind of said the same thing about Obama. So I think people try to be the next Obama situation. I don't think that's ever going to work. I think there's a very special time and place for that. I think it was a brilliant, to this day, to me, in my lifetime, the best orator in politics I've seen.
No, he can't hold a candle to Reagan. Yeah,
Reagan would wipe Obama's shoes. That's what he got to do. He wiping his shoes.
All right, Jalen's talking a big talk, but no, we're actually going to cover this in the next couple of episodes. We're actually going to have a fucking Reagan versus Obama oratory
speeches. Yeah, we could just watch speech after speech and just react, talk about who.
We're actually going to do that.
Reagan's going to put me to sleep. Reagan is watching. Reagan is elevator music. Obama's Michael Jackson. This difference.
That is cool. Reagan is like listening to a fucking the greatest passages from the greatest novels ever written on audio tape from like the greatest fucking raspy narrator you can imagine. A real fucking man talking about real reality shit.
You take the 5 best speeches of Reagan, the 5 best speeches of Obama. Obama was 5 clear.
Oh,
clear.
I know that Reagan. I was even because we were talking about this a couple months ago, and I had
we should do it.
Go remind myself on Barack. And Barack.
We should have a fun episode where we just bring up a couple speeches we like. They're on YouTube. Yeah, they're on YouTube.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, yeah, we'll do it like.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. Yes, we can. Can't even touch like A Time for Choosing. Go tonight. Go get yourself a drink and go listen to a Time for Choosing, and you'll be like,
we'll see.
You'll just send me the white flag.
Shout out JFK too. I think he's.
We surrender.
Shout out JFK.
JFK was all right. He was decent.
I think Bill Clinton was cool too. I thought
Bill Clinton was okay.
Yeah, he was very inspirational though. Obama was very like he really made you feel something.
Yeah, Bill Clinton was really more just like he took that middle road. It was
yeah.
But I think he was out of all the modern presidents. If we go back to Reagan, I'd say Reagan and Obama probably clearly in the top 2. You'd have to put Clinton, and after that, we really haven't had very good orators. At all.
No,
Bush Jr.
No.
Joe Biden. I mean, come on.
You know what? Actually, like younger Joe Biden had more umph to him. I see, like, but he was obviously more in Congress
Yeah,
speeches. He had a little more umph to him.
This is what I honestly think you're just not really too familiar with a lot of Reagan's greatest speeches.
I've been watching a little more of his, but I mean,
Yeah.
Obama's speeches on YouTube. They'll add like background music, which just gives it a
they do a lot. When I was looking up the Reagan speeches, it was hard. Most of them they'll put the dramatic music like subtly in the background, which really does add a little.
Yeah, well, you know what? Who cares? We'll throw them up there. We'll respect.
No music. There's got to be a rule. No music in the clips.
No music. I hear you.
But all right. So you're jumping straight to, you think AOC could just win a presidency right now? See, I think there's like no way she could actually win. I think it'd be hard for her to. I think the way it's going right now, she might be able to get out of the Democratic primaries, but then in a general election, I just don't. Did you see this clip of AOC came out a couple of days ago?
No, but play it.
Yeah, let's listen. So this is AOC sitting down with some women of the ages, and yeah, let's see what you think about this clip.
Also, you know, the other way I think you can think about it is that we are, you know, perhaps we are in the downfall of the broken way. This was not built to last. Inequity, injustice is not built to last. It lasts a long time. It could last hundreds of years, but ultimately it crumbles into this, you know, a small cohort of incompetent people that create damage. And from that, something new can spring. And so maybe something is declining right now, but maybe it deserves to decline.
Okay, so what did you think of that?
And it's music to the ears of a lot of people, especially now. I want to say it's declined so much that you have Trump as a president. Now I'm here to save you from that and rebuild this country to the great country it could be.
Oh, that's not fucking president. That's not president of the United States of America. Shit, that is bullshit. That is 14-year-old commie bullshit.
Hey,
she's coming out saying the country has been corrupted the entire time. It's been a flawed experiment the whole time. Fuck America, but I'm gonna come save you with.
I mean, look, Trump is basically the same thing. He's saying this country is not. He said the country is not the shit. I'm here to save you.
Trump said all Trump said was, "Hey, we're getting rid of this bullshit that popped up in the last 15 years."
Hey,
that's
same concept. Same concept.
No, it's a completely different concept. The haters say "Make America Great Again" is like, let's take it back to 1600. That's bullshit. It was just, let's get rid of this shit. Let's get rid of this woke shit that came on the scene. This is bullshit.
AOC wants to get rid of inequality. She wants to get rid of billionaires having the power.
That social shit is not going to work. It never has worked. Look at the Democratic presidents who have actually won in the last 40 years. They all had to tack towards the middle to win. Bill Clinton, take it to the middle.
It's true.
Obama, take it to the middle. Joe Biden, he ran it way far left than he said, but it all during his campaign was, I'm going to take it back.
That's because the Democrats robbed Bernie Sanders of an opportunity to disprove that.
Bernie never would have won because he was a fucking 80-year-old communist.
Oh, I think Bernie. I think Bernie could have beaten Trump the first go around.
Bernie never could have gotten a majority.
I think Bernie's ideas were incredibly popular. I heard a lot of people on the right, not necessarily right wing voters, but conservative voters saying a lot of Bernie's ideas sounded real good to them, and they definitely would have voted for him over Hillary. I'll tell you that much.
All of Bernie's burnt out socialist ideas, they sound good on face value, but they can all be fucking torn apart within 5 or 6 minutes. It's all fucking hoodoo voodoo shit.
Hey, I'm all for universal healthcare. I'm always a single payer guy for me.
Well, it looks like, I mean, a lot of the countries that have universal healthcare
tend to have lower populations.
Are complaining about it. But yeah, I mean, a lot of them are complaining about it now after decades of having it.
For sure, but we also don't complain about ridiculous. They don't complain about ridiculous medical bills that Americans have. They don't complain about not being able to visit the hospital because they can't afford it. You know what I mean? Like, they complain about stuff, sure, but the
most
stuff
people
It's a lot worse.
Most people in America, they see the doctor when they have to. They have insurance. We have the top actual medicine in the world. A lot of people, rich people from those countries, when something really goes bad, they come over to fucking America.
I mean, some surgeons. Switzerland has some good surgeons too. I mean, surgeons all over the world these days.
Here's
But
the
I mean,
thing:
America has the most medical, like research, and a lot of medical discovery happens in America. Sure.
here's the thing with Bernie. All right, I think what you're like 30 years old, right?
Yep.
So for you, Bernie is basically over the last 8 years, ever since he declared his run for presidency, right?
Yeah, that's when I really kind of first.
Yeah, see, like
Bernie's-
I'm old enough to remember Bernie was the batshit crazy guy for decades. That's what Bernie was.
People weren't ready for that. People were ready for the truth.
You said, all right, and that's a good segue. Let's check out, because we know Bernie and AOC are on this oligarchy tour, right? Because they're saying that now that Donald Trump became president, we're on the verge of oligarchy everywhere.
Elon Musk.
Yeah, Elon Musk and Donald Trump. It's
when the economy crashed, surprisingly, a lot of these oligarchs made a ton of money the next day.
And now the oligarchy is right around the corner. But let's tap into Bernie throughout the years.
This great country of ours is moving very rapidly in the direction of oligarchy. The United States of America today is increasingly becoming an oligarchy. More and more moving toward an oligarchy. We are moving in the direction of oligarchy. We will move even more rapidly in the direction of an oligarchy. This great country is evolving into an oligarchic society. It is called oligarchy, and that is the system we are rapidly moving toward. This is a budget that moves our country rapidly into the direction of oligarchy. A handful of billionaires are moving this entire planet toward an oligarchic society.
See, he don't change with the trends. He keeps it 100 from the start.
But that's what I'm saying. So
100%.
don't tell me he's some savior to save us from Donald Trump. And Donald Trump has ushered in this new age of oligarchy. All right, what we have is a fucking 100-year-old man who, for the last 50 years, has been saying the exact same thing. There's nothing special about Trump or the day that we live in now. He's been saying the exact same thing for the last 50 years.
I think 100% says the same thing. But I think, again, when he started first year was 1993. I do think, every year you think about it, in terms of the amount of wealth and power that a lot of the, you could say, billionaires have throughout these years has gotten more and more. Like, never has there been a time where the amount of wealth accumulated by a select few has been so much. And in terms of power,
I don't believe it.
No, there's never been a time, except when you go back to like the king, like the Pharaoh era, you want to say, or even like Genghis Khan, sure.
Like,
but I mean,
most all of human history everywhere on the globe, unless you count.
Look, even like if you go from like the 80s till now, the amount of wealth and power that billionaires have is so much more than it was in the 80s. Like, it's very difficult. Like, even like when people
God
life in the
bless
60s,
Reagan, right? So God bless Reagan.
Like I said, one of the worst presidents in American history. But even like in the 60s, think about it. Like the 60s, there weren't these huge, oligarch billionaire level guys as much there is today.
No, we had other problems.
Yeah,
much worse.
Wealth disparity wasn't one of them, without a doubt. I mean, were you? I don't know. Were you still? What's the highest tax rate? So 80% then, or 90%?
Yeah, no, it was even up to right when Reagan came in. The highest tax rate was like 72%. I think
there's 72. And look,
71, 73%.
A lot of people,
right around there.
A lot of people will say the strongest that the American middle class has ever been were the 60s and 70s. I've heard
they'd be completely wrong.
I mean, I'd have to look into it. That's just
here. Let me show you something here. All right. Have you ever heard of the misery index?
No, something new.
No, it's been around.
Let's jump into tariffs in a bit too. I do have to leave in like 15, 20.
15, 20. All right. Yeah. No, the misery index, it's a simple formula. It's just inflation plus unemployment.
Inflation plus unemployment. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So All right, you see this?
Okay.
All right, so this is the misery index for all the presidents, and when Ronald Reagan came in, the misery index was 19.3.
Okay. And that was
and the national murder rate was like 2.5 times what it is right now.
okay. Was there an incident that occurred why it was so high?
Well, I mean, there were some issues with the petroleum, and there was some unrest in the Middle East with the Ayatollah taking over Iran. But no, I mean that was the basic trend through the 70s. All right, so I mean that's what when Ronald Reagan came in, it was 19.3 inflation plus unemployment. So they averaged out to be about 10% each. Can you imagine that?
Okay.
You see how different of a world Ronald Reagan, look what he did.
I think Ronald Reagan made the purchasing power of the middle class.
Ronald Reagan corrected the misery index by far unlike any other president, unless if you go back to Harry Truman.
I think Ronald Reagan just gave all the money to the top while the middle classes, again, purchasing power was greatly diluted.
Dude, when he came in, nobody had a job. And it was stagflation, where you have inflation during a recession, and nobody had a job.
If you look
the crime was out of control.
If you look at like average salary versus average cost of homes, the huge jump starts to take place the years. And again, this is not a thing with like president thing. I think the president's policies really you kind of see it come into effect years down the line. You know, when you see it, like I don't think president does something right away.
Yeah, you do. And if you look at it, after Ronald Reagan, all of these presidents, George Bush, Bill Clinton, Bush Jr., Barack Obama, even Trump, definitely, even Biden, these are all Reagan-esque economics.
Reagan economics. Reagan economics causing the housing crisis,
Reaganomics have been basically the law of the land for the last 4 years, even with the Democrats. I mean, they have a Democratic spin.
Reaganomics is why banks were giving out loans to people that shouldn't have got it, taking advantage of people, and then had the whole housing market collapse. Deregulation is what caused that.
Yeah, and did any of these Democrats come back and say, "Oh, you know what? We should go back to the economic system before Reagan"?
Oh, because no, a lot of these politicians are bought out now. They want to keep the money where it is.
No,
whether you're a Democrat or conservative, you want to keep the money.
Jalen, because it does you no good when your nation has 10% inflation with 10% unemployment and with a murder rate 3 times what it is today. That's not good.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going back to that murder rate. I'd have to look at why the murder was so high. There's different.
Okay, well, I mean, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't say, "Oh, Reagan was so tough on crime, like Reagan did all these things to the inner city," and then not acknowledge that. And he dropped the crime rate.
No. But hold on. There has to be a reason why. If during the Jimmy Carter, Ford, Nixon era, crime rate was 3 times what it is today, I want to go look back and see the factors to that. It's not just because the president decides to do something. That's not how crime rates tend to just disappear. There's probably stuff that happens in the cities, in the states, whatever the case is. It's not simply just a president was changed.
You enforce crime. You get tough on crime.
I mean, sure. You want to get tough on crime.
Fuck the police and all that, but just being tough on crime works. It happens all the time. Look at the turnarounds that happen in New York City.
That's also a vague statement. Like, what do you mean tough on crime? You're talking about longer sentencing for crimes or being.
I'll give you a direct example. I live in Oakland, California. Just a couple of months ago, we recalled our DA. Because she refused to prosecute anybody. That's a problem for sure. She's the DA and she refuses to prosecute everybody because not being the opposite of being, they're soft on crime. They have the considerations of the criminal in mind. They have all these laws that you've probably seen where in California you can run into a Walmart and as long as you steal less than $1,000, they can't do anything. They don't get in your way. They just fucking escort you out of the fucking store.
These are all state issues, sentencing laws, crime things. That it's state by state thing.
Well, but it's also, a lot of the law enforcement is funded by the federal government.
So states get money for their law enforcement
from the federal government.
Okay, sure, they get money for that. Okay. Again, I'd want to look into it. You know what Reagan did. It's perfectly fine if he did, but again, I just think again, is it more of a state thing, state by state basis?
You know what the 1984 election looked like, right? 1984.
There was a landslide for him.
Yeah, a landslide, as in
I think
49 out of 50 states.
Yeah.
So maybe
we'll never see that again.
Maybe homie, probably not. No.
Yeah, that would see that. That's also because Jimmy Carter. I mean,
yeah,
look,
that would be insane. And he almost won 50. He only lost Minnesota by like 3,000 votes or something.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. To win 49 states is. I'll give him that. That's an impressive.
Yeah,
situation.
so maybe
how close was the second one? I mean, his second one he won. That what did he do in his first one? How many states?
His first one was still a landslide. It was
landslide
his first one he won 489 electorate. So
who did he beat? In the first one he beat Carter.
First one he beat Carter.
Yeah, the second one he beat
Walter Mondale.
How strong were those candidates?
I mean, not well. I mean, Carter was
like someone. Yeah, I mean Carter was there, but I'm talking like Walter. I don't even know.
So Carter had already won a president.
Yeah, Carter.
He was the incumbent.
But I mean, his presidency.
Mondale was all right. He was a nice guy. He wasn't like wrapped up in scandal or anything. But dude, I'm telling you, dude, at the time, Reagan was a fucking juggernaut.
No,
Reagan was like an unstoppable force.
Reagan's aura, if we're gonna talk basketball,
Reagan's aura.
It's very, very Michael Jordan-esque the way people talk about Reagan. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But we a LeBron guy, so we got to call out the lies about Reagan's aura, like Jordan's aura.
Obama, we got to try to come up with some case to put fucking Barack Obama on Ronald Reagan's level.
The goat of goats. Yeah, jump into these tariffs. What do you think of these tariffs?
Oh yeah, we haven't even talked about the tariffs. That's crazy.
Gotta get to the tariffs.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you're probably more critical. So what do you think?
Well, some of the interesting things with tariffs. One, I don't know if you saw this whole thing on TikTok where the Chinese just expose all these companies. Hey, this is where your $30,000 Hermes bags being made right here. This is where your $300 Nike shoes being made right here. I think there's some law in China before where they couldn't openly say it, like everyone kind of knew,
right?
But they're just showing you the breakdown of every single. Like he did this Asian guy did the Hermes bag, like actual $30,000 bag. He's like, they use this leather which costs $200, this buckle which costs $100, this stitching. Like every single detail, and it cost him like it cost him like $3,000 to make. I'll give him that actually a lot more than I thought. $3,000.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah.
But
they charge like 30,000.
Yeah, they charge $30,000 for the bag, right? Yeah, but it's interesting that full on detail, like not a single detail. Yeah, so that's kind of cool to see.
Well, yeah, I'm all for exposing, and hopefully. I mean, it's going to be difficult, especially in a live and let live society. But I mean, it'd be nice to live in a society that wasn't so infatuated with consumerism and spending 10 times what you need to spend on a good because.
Oh, now it's just straight because of whatever. Everyone's ordering straight from factory now. Straight from factory, yeah. But I mean, in reality, people who are buying $30,000 bags, I just don't think they care. If you can afford a $30,000 bag, you probably don't. Yeah, you know what I mean. So for everyone else, hey, go get your Nikes for $40, get those $300 for $40 with shipping.
No, but I mean I do think that's been a change in society, at least among like people with money over the last decade. I feel like it used to be you had money, you bought expensive things, but it was expensive things that were like actual, like a Rolex watch that's like takes a lot of fucking time and money to craft and make, instead of the whole like Supreme designer logo, paying a lot of money for like you're holding it in your hand. You know that you're just holding a cotton t-shirt. Like your brain should be able to tell you that I've just got a cotton t-shirt.
But even even Louis Vuitton, the made in France or Paris thing, they just say, hey, what they're doing is we make the bag here. They'll send the bag and they'll send the buckle separate.
Yeah, right.
They just add the buckle in Paris and say it's made in Paris. Right, and he's fully showing you this is what they do, or they add the label in it's made there. So
so here's the thing. I know we all know why it's cheaper from China, right?
Of course, the wages.
We know that it's because it's a communist state. They got no political power, and the workers are being completely exploited, right? So this is why I'm saying I'm like diminishing from how I'm connected to the Democrat Party at all. Because even before, like, I've been a fuck China guy for the last 30 years. Like, I was boycotting China 25 years ago. I was like, I'm not buying shit from China, man. I don't like China. I don't like communism. I don't like China. I don't like the Chinese government. I don't like how big and fucking powerful they are. I don't want to support China. I'm not with them.
And how dependent.
So how did that become a right-wing thing? How is it just because Trump became president where now all the people on the left are like, well, I guess we really like cheap goods from China and consumerism.
It comes back down to how the American people are affected by it. This whole idea of
you've seen the videos of like have you seen the videos of like Pelosi and Schumer back in the day talking about China, talking about the trade deficit? So basically echoing damn near word for word everything that Trump says. I mean, that used to be the like the Democratic position, you know, and the Republicans were like, no, the free trade, let the corporations make as much money in deals in any part of the earth as possible. So it seems to me that it's just because Trump is president, because the tariffs and protectionism and let's not buy these cheap goods from China. That was the left side.
So yeah, the idea of him upping tariffs on these other countries and bringing production back to America, you know, or having American goods be cheaper than those goods so people will buy America. The concept is good. The idea is good, right? But the reality is that T-shirt from Walmart that you're used to buying for $8 might now be 10. 10 or even more for whatever it is, right?
So that's what I'm saying. What, like, so now all of a sudden the left side of America is like, fuck it, we throw in the white flag.
It's not a right left thing. I think the American people are feeling it. That's the problem. It's like people are feeling in their day-to-day budgeting what they're spending. They're feeling it. And it's like the climate change thing. It's like the climate change thing. Yeah, we care about it. I think it's great to buy America, but when inspecting your pocketbook, when you have to decide whether you want to, you know, pay rent or buy food because you have $400 left in your checking account.
Well, that I feel like that's no fucking backbone. What if we were in the middle of World War II and all the cheap goods were coming out of Nazi Germany?
Sure, but not
are you just gonna no? Well, I take the Chinese threat seriously. I mean, in the long run, again, like, I'm a historian. I tend to think in like chunks of like 50 years, 200 years, and all. I mean, I look at China as an adversary. It's a communist fucking nation.
Yeah. Look. I'm not going to agree with the things China's doing. Right. They just had you could say a genocide with the
Uyghurs.
That's how you pronounce. I'm not sure I pronounce it right. So, with them, you could say they're definitely problematic with that, quote unquote, slave labor because of the wages they pay the individuals. You never want to condone that. For sure. 100%.
So we've already seen what happens with the status quo of the last 25 years of free market. We buy cheap goods from China. We've seen what happens. We've seen our debt go crazy. We've seen our manufacturing leave. We've seen China take our money and invest it in their infrastructure and their military, and then take our money and come back and invest it and buy up parts of America.
Chinese farmland or farmland in America bought by the Chinese.
Yeah, so we're just going to keep going down that road because, one, we hate Trump, and two, we can't stand to spend $10 on a shirt instead of $8.
And look, I hear you. The dependence on China, especially long term, I think can be problematic. Without a doubt, I agree with that. But it's just like the climate change thing where, yeah, you care about it. I think every American, you go ask and be like, hey, do you want China to be more powerful than us, or do you want to be dependent on them? Most people will say no, right? Because you just go interview with them, no. But then if you ask them, hey, if these tariffs go in, would you pay 40% more for this this item, whether it's a toy, shirt, food, whatever the case may be, right? And I think when it comes to that pocketbook, Americans, they change.
That's why sometimes you need a strong leader to come by and say, "Fuck it, I don't give a fuck." Because otherwise, if I look throughout history, at some point in history, just leaving it up to the crowd and democracy, you're going to make a catastrophic move. The mob, the crowd, at some point, if you just leave it up to the collection of everyday men to decide the course of your nation, they're going to make a catastrophic move.
I think again, and I've seen a lot of small businesses be affected by the tariffs, by them importing some goods that they need, like they just can't afford it right now. So in the long term, I could see where the benefit lies. Of eventually you can come to a place where that's minimized and goods are being purchased now for a price similar to what it is in China, but it just takes more time, right, for to really have that change in effect. In the short term, I think again politically, it could be if the tariffs continue to impact American consumers and they see the prices of things go up in their everyday lives, it could be political suicide for conservatives in some ways for an election. I think that could have a problem because it's a very easy target to be like.
It could, yeah. I
You
mean,
know, yeah,
on a
yeah.
lot of these issues, I'm like fully on board with the actual the policies. The only thing I'm worried about is again just fucking too many dumb fucks out in the population, like not
Short term versus
going
long term.
and
Yeah,
voting against it.
I get what he's doing with the tariffs. Like long term benefit of the country, I can definitely see it. I just think politically.
All right, well let me hit you with an angle that I'm pretty sure you have not heard on any, because I haven't seen it on any news source. The angle that I'm looking at it, and I'm just pissed off that I don't see the left or the right really talking about the big game. That's all right. So the openness index. Have you ever? We're going over a lot of indexes. Have you ever heard of the openness index?
Nope.
So that's the country's imports plus their exports as a ratio to the country's GDP.
Okay.
Right? So you can imagine just the imports and exports, your GDP. So compared to your overall economy, how much of it is imports and exports? So out of 194 countries on Earth, where would you think the United States ranks in openness? Imports and exports compared to their overall GDP.
Imports and exports. I mean, they import a lot and they export a lot.
Okay.
Their GDP is a lot too, so I feel like it should match up pretty well. Like it's all just the highest in the world at this point. I don't know. Yeah, I would imagine.
No, just make it get out of 194.
Yeah,
countries. I mean, where would you think they are as far as openness, the trade?
One.
Number one.
Yeah, I would assume they're one. Okay,
thank you. Because I think a lot of people, I think most Americans probably think just like you think. And they're hearing everything that we're hearing with the tariffs through that lens, thinking that America's in that situation. America is actually 5th from last in the world. So exports,
the
ratio of that compared to our GDP is 5th from last.
So is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's just a thing. What it is that our domestic economy, right, is the biggest, basically the biggest percentage, far big. Basically, the imports and the exports are not nearly the percentage that people think they are. America is not this economy that's dependent on its exports and its imports. That's actually a very small fraction.
So they do a lot within the country.
So we're not
the biggest importer in the world.
What?
You guys aren't the biggest importer in the world?
We are if you look at the total.
Yeah, total.
The total is big, but our GDP is astronomical.
I mean, you also produce a lot. Yeah. I mean, are you not I guess China would be the biggest exporter in the world. Would you be like top 3 exporter in the world?
No, I mean I think we are the top the top importer in the world. But again, our GDP is so big that it's a fraction. So these tariffs tariffs are completely different for every different country is in a different situation. And America is in a situation where we have tremendous leverage. We do not rely on imports nearly to the extent that it's being pushed that most people believe. We could cut off all imports.
I think a lot of the imports, like you said, are that you said with America. I think they tend to be more what's like, I won't say just luxury goods, but just optional goods or things that you don't necessarily like need, but it's just like
it helps.
Yeah,
it helps.
America is a consumerist country. Like it's a brands love advertising in America because they always say the reason why the Super Bowl an ad in the Super Bowl is worth more than an ad in the World Cup when the World Cup has more viewers worldwide is because an American watching that Coca-Cola commercial is going to buy more, right, than people in the world. Right?
No, and really that's the end. That's what really matters is that this trade from other countries importing stuff into America, it's much more important for the countries importing to us than it is to us. I mean, for us, it's nice, you know, and it's cool to have like more options of shoes and
more options of cars.
That's cool. But for these other countries, it's like a necessity. Their entire economy crashes if they can't sell their shit to America. So we actually, I believe that we hold way more leverage in these this trade war than most people understand. And the only thing that would really screw it up is again the American people not having a fucking backbone.
Yeah,
and understanding that the whole fucking neoliberal economy that they've been complaining about for the last 30 years, like, you know, we can change it, and we need to change it, and we can make it far more advantageous for America in the long run.
Yeah, I think Trump, if he wanted to put exceptions in these tariffs for certain products, like whether it be like, you know, food, whether that's eggs or, you know, oranges or just like food, you know, and maybe even increase the tariffs on let's say luxury cars. Let's say that Ferrari that comes from Italy, right? 90% of Americans are not going to care if you put an extra luxury tax on a Ferrari because they're not going to buy one. It's not going to affect their life, right? But
that's the other part of it that all the critics completely ignore, that a tariff like is money that goes straight towards funding your own government. You know,
100%. Yeah, I think if Trump focused the tariffs a lot on luxury goods, like those $30,000 Hermes bags, you know what I mean? Right. Those type of things. I think it'd be a much easier sell to the American public too. Yeah, because in ways maybe the left might jump on the wave too because you're doing the whole tax the rich thing.
I think at this point, I think for the next 4 years, most of the left, like at least 75% of the left, are just gonna disagree with every single thing that the administration.
A little bit of that too, yeah, like, yeah. It happens. I saw that in, you know, Obama administration, Biden administration. Yeah, it's a little ridiculous, but it happens. They'll just dissent just to dissent.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think it's really just, you know, it's deriving. He's a businessman, and this is he saw that the import export market into America is more important to them than it is to us. So if you're a businessman, what do? You exploit that, and you're like, it's like if you're a rich guy living on a hill and you had a mine, you had an orchard, you had all these things, and then you had a little market that for you it's like a nice little thing, make some extra money, but for the whole town surrounding you, it's like it's everything to them, right? So I mean, that's power that you have. All right, let's make this American market like work for America as much as possible. And I think we're going to get a lot of good trade deals out of it in the long run.
I've never been like I've always thought the tariff thing was fine. I've never been a huge critique of it. I thought his intention was always the right thing with the tariffs. Again, it's just how impactful in the short term those tariffs are to the American people in everyday lives. It could cause a problem for him over the next couple of years. And we'll see how that goes. You know, we'll see how these. I mean, it seems like these tariffs keep starting and stopping a lot too. Like, hey, we'll give it a 60-day break, come back, and try to negotiate.
Yeah, like shoot from the hip. There are definitely some moves I didn't like. Like I didn't like when they came out with the chart and it was tied to the trade deficits, because I really feel like that's just like, again, a red herring, like an argument that it seems like they're using to try to be an easy sell for probably the base. But like, I think you can make a much more logical, better argument for why we would be doing these things.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
But they do that.
All right, no, I do have to head out. This is a good one.
All right, yeah, that was good. Here, before you go, let's just watch this quick. Again, everyone, Jalen is a radical supporter of women having the right to vote, and
this is true. I will give me that. I will take that.
I am now going to submit Exhibit B.
Killer person started saying I look like a Muppet, and people say it so much, sometimes I start to forget words. And so I even asked Vince, I'm like, do I look like a Muppet? Oh my God. He's like, absolutely not. But this particular person.
Okay, I think that speaks for itself.
Yeah, that's correct. Come on, man. You got called look. I don't want to take away from other people's experiences. I gotta keep this. If that hurt your feelings, I get it. I've been called a lot worse, and I probably called people worse when we joke around, which I tell you the truth too.
I can't imagine Julius Caesar, Napoleon, sitting around having that conversation.
Yeah, we getting a little too soft for that one, man. If the worst thing that's happened to you is being called a Muppet, worst thing that's happened to me is being called. So some people be like, "Oh, you terrorist!" Like, you know how many worse things? You know how many worse things people go through every day? Like we just talked about Palestine, Israel, and stuff. Like there's some real stuff going on. Like we don't. I promise you, there's nothing you can call me to make me sit around a table and
sticks
cry.
and stones can break my bones,
That's
but
crazy.
Words will never hurt me.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah,
all right. Well, yeah. Good episode. Good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks everybody for tapping in. We should be back here Wednesday 9 Eastern, right? I think we're gonna try to make that the typical starting point. So all righty. Good seeing y'all.
Take it easy, chat.
Take care.